today I'm going to show you how to crochet the 90s pop scarf. This is a very simple one row repeat, but by changing colors you can create a really popping, eye-catching type of scarf. All we're going to do in this scarf is use the single crochet and chain stitches. It creates a very dense but also fairly lightweight scarf. And like I said, if you use a contrasting color to your main color, so on this scarf my main color was black and I used a contrasting self-striping sort of neon colorway yarn for that contrasting color to give it some pop. This stitch pattern also creates very even edges, so you really don't need to worry about doing a border. I chose to put some fringe on the end of this scarf with the leftover contrasting color that I had, but you can choose to just leave that as a straight edge if you prefer. For this tutorial I am just going to be using some acrylic 4-weight yarn, two different contrasting colors, because it's very hard to see when using black in a tutorial what you're actually doing, and a 6mm crochet hook. If you're interested in making a scarf with the yarn that I used for this one, I just used a big twist acrylic 4-weight in black and the Mandala Ombre. This is a Lion Brand. This colorway is called Happy, so you can see it's all those neon happy colors. Turned out absolutely wonderful with this stitch pattern in this scarf. So let's get right into it and I'll show you how to crochet the 90s pop scarf. To start, you're going to want a chain multiple of 2. So for the scarf I chained 40 chains. So we start with a slip knot on our hook and chain 40. Because this is a multiple of 2 and it's a tutorial, I am just going to chain a multiple of 2. I'm not going to chain the full 40 chains. Once you have your 40 chains, for this little sampler I have just chained 18, we're going to work a single crochet into the second chain away from the hook. So one, so that first full chain, we're just going to work a single crochet. We're going to chain 1, skip the next chain, and work a single crochet into that following chain. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next. And that is the row repeat. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next. When you get to the end, you should have 2 stitches or chains left at the end of that first row. I have gone ahead, chained 1, skip that next stitch, and into the last work a single crochet. And that is row 1. For row 2, we're going to start with a chain 1 and turn, and you're going to find that first chain space. So you should have them all along that first row. You're going to find that first chain space and work a single crochet into it. Chain 1, skip that single crochet, find that space, that next chain 1 space, and single crochet into that. Chain 1, skip, find that next chain space, and work a single crochet into that, and so on, all the way back down row 2. Once you get to the end, you can see I have an obvious chain space here. So I have chained 1, I'm going to work a single crochet into that chain space. And now what do? We have this end single crochet that we did in row 1. So we're going to chain 1, and you're just going to work into almost like the side of it, but it's that chain or that single crochet stitch that we did for row 1. And you've got rows 1 and 2. So row 2, the row that we just did, is that pattern repeat. So if you're not changing colors, you would go ahead, chain 1, turn, find that first single crochet space. So you basically skip that first single crochet here, find that space. If I can open it up there a little bit for you to see, and then you would work your single crochet into it, chain 1, find the next, chain 1 space, work a single crochet into it, and so on. However, if you do want to change colors, let's back up. So when you get to this point for row 2, you've just worked your single crochet into the last obvious chain space, chain 1, and now we're going to work into that side or that first single crochet stitch. So you work half of that single crochet, you pull up your loop, so instead of yarning over to complete that single crochet, stop. Pick up your new color, lay it over your hook, and pull that through. And what you want to do as you're working through the scarf when you're changing colors is to just gently tighten everything for those color change stitches. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn. You don't want to cut your yarn unless you're doing different balls for each few rows or so. But for this pattern, we are going to work 2 rows of red as far as this tutorial goes, and then 2 rows in the orange. So I've just chained 1. I'm going to find that first chain space, and sometimes with this stitch pattern, those chain 1 spaces in between your single crochets from the previous row are a little bit smaller, they're harder to see. All you want to do is skip that first stitch and go into the space right next to it, work your single crochet, chain 1, skip the single crochet, and find the next chain 1 space and single crochet into it, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next chain 1 space, and so on. And it's a very easy pattern, creates a very dense fabric, and if you change colors throughout, you'll have a really cool, interesting, and fun design. And you can change colors more often. So just because I did every 2 rows change colors, you can always make it every 3 rows, 4 rows, 1 row, whatever you want to do. But if you do that, you may find that you're cutting your ends because you won't be able to carry if it's an odd number. You always want to end a row where you can carry that color up. So when I end it here on this red, if I decided I just wanted 1 row of orange, well, I have no red here to carry, so I would have to cut here and join here. So it's just a matter of if you're fine with weaving in all of your ends. If you're like me and avoid it as much as possible, then I recommend doing 2 rows in your main color and 2 rows in that contrasting color. And you can also just use 1 self-striping ball of yarn and you'll get a unique piece of fabric as well. So you would work this for as long as you want your scarf to be, and once you get it to the length that you like, you can either put some fringe on, and I'm not going to show you how to put fringe on this video. I do have another scarf video where I show generally how to work fringe into the ends, and I will link that down below. I am not the best at fringe, Sometimes they come out great and sometimes it just doesn't work for me. So fringe is not my friend most of the time. This pattern is very straight edged, so when you finish you'll have wonderfully straight edges as long as you've kept that stitch count correct. If you find that your work is veering off or getting wider, you might want to count your stitches. Make sure that you have the correct stitch count for each row and you're not increasing or decreasing as you're working through the scarf. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial for the 90s pop scarf. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video. And thanks so much for watching, everyone. Until next time, happy crocheting. Bye!